What's going on, everybody? My name is Luis, and today I'm going to be going over CS 135 Assignment 10, the Clue-like game. So, for this game, it's kind of like the game of Clue, and we are going to build a code that's going to load game data, set up the game for us, and it says here, it's going to allow 1 to 5 players to play the game. So let's get started and then we'll start looking at this PDF. So when you're programming, the first thing you want to do is kind of set up the skeleton of your code. So for that means the libraries you're going to use, the function prototype. So this is every function listed here, and when you're setting these up, you want to go refer to the PDF and go function by function. And the function will tell you the data type. Right here, it tells you the data type, the return type of the function name, and then a little description of what the function's gonna do. Some of the function have parameters, which is pass by reference, and pass by value, which some of you may or may not be familiar with. But pass by reference just means that we're getting the actual address of that variable, so whatever changes we make in the function will happen to the variable outside of the function. And then pass by value is when you're essentially borrowing the value of whatever variable you're passing in. We're going to be also passing arrays to our functions, and arrays are always passed by reference, so whatever changes we make to these are going to be permanent. Here it tells you what these parameters are actually going to be. So it looks like we're going to have a solution array, which is going to be the token. Solution 1, solution 2. Okay, so solution is gonna be our integer array, and we're gonna store a token on the first index of this integer array, or the 0 index, which is the first index. Then the room on index 1, which is the second index, and solution 2 will store the topic, which is index 2 of the array, but the third element in an array, right? And let's see what else there's here. We have load game data, game setup, return the number of players. Okay. And then here we're going to also have the return type, like I mentioned earlier, and it tells us what the function is going to be returning. So this one, for example, game setup, is going to return the number of actual players chosen and can hold up to number of players. So we're probably going to make number of players a global constant. I think it mentions that in the PDF. Somewhere around here. We will look at that. Okay. So there's a maximum number of 5 players in this version stored in a constant called number of players. So let me actually make that, because I haven't made that. Const int num of players. That's 5. Okay. So this is my constant. We don't need this. This is the main skeleton, and then I like to do the function definitions right underneath the main. So with void functions, there's no return type, so you don't need to put anything. But if it's like an int, I just put return 0 just for a placeholder, because we don't want warnings. And if it's a bool, you can put return true or false. And you want to name the parameters things that make sense to what you're going to be passing into these functions. So for these, you just want to go back to your PDF and refer to what they are. And then Okay, so now that you have your skeleton set up, you might want to compile. So we want to make sure we have everything. So warning, no return statement at the end of a no return statement in the function returning non-void. And it's on line 66, so we kind of want to go to that line and check it out before we start doing anything. So it says here int get random number of choices, and there's no return type, so we can just put return 0 here for now, and we're all good now. So okay, so we already compiled, right? G++ main.cpp, so that's all good. So we kind of want to go into the PDF and look at what we're going to be doing. So it looks like from the example executions, there's going to be a menu, and we're going to be able to choose the game, G to set up the game, or Q to quit. We're going to enter the number of players, and after you enter the number of players, it looks like it prompts the players to choose a token. And we're probably going to want to store this information in an array. So let's go up and see what they want us to do for part 1. So you'll have to code the top level menu. It has 2 choices, game setup, menu option. So the game setup menu option will call 2 functions, load game data, then game setup. So game setup menu option. Okay, cool. So now we want to go into, I'm actually just going to copy this real quick and put this inside here so we kind of know what we're going to be doing. So I kind of don't want to be switching back and forth from the PDF too much, so this is kind of our instructions we're going to work with for now. Space. And then we have display game menu, game setup. Okay. So let's see what we can do. First thing, we're probably gonna have input and output files because some of these functions are having if streams and of streams being passed to them. So we can make those first. So I file of stream of file. So this is gonna be my input output. Or these are technically objects, huh? Okay. So we have the input output. Then we know there's gonna be a 2D array, right? We know there's gonna be a 2D array that's gonna hold integers. So we're probably gonna want to figure out what that 2D array is gonna specifically be holding. So let's look through here real quick. In order, 5 players. For each player, a token name must be chosen and stored. Then 1 item. Okay, so it looks like for our players, 1 index of the 2D array is gonna hold an index of our token, and the second index is gonna hold an item of that token. So the way we want to think of it is we go into this painting. There's gonna be arrays. There's gonna be 3 arrays, and each array is gonna hold like. Oops, let's make it down here. Actually, let's make this bigger first. Cool, so this array is gonna hold our tokens, this one's gonna hold our rooms, and this one's gonna hold our topics. And then this is gonna be a 2D array. This is gonna be our 2D array with the players. Let's say there's only 3 players here. Okay, that's 4, that's fine. So if this is our topics, right? Actually, let me write that. So this is gonna be our topics. This is gonna be our rooms, and then this is gonna be our tokens. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be our tokens. We need tokens, right? Because those are the names of the teachers. So we're gonna parse a file, and then in this file there's gonna be kind of the information for our game. So if we look at the CSV file right now, we have the professor, the room, and the topic. So here's gonna be the professor, here's the topic, and here is the this is the topic, this is the room, right? That's available. So for each index of our array, for each index of our array, it's gonna store some information. So let's say this is Jorgensen, J for Jorgensen, this is A for Andrew Vasco, R for Rafalski. I'm just putting random tokens in here. And then the rooms are like CS 135, CS 202, CS 302, CS 175, or whatever, right? And then the topics could be like, let's say this is data structures and algorithms. This is the intro course. This is databases. It's algo. And then this is like what we can do. Let's just say machine learning. I don't know. I can't think of anything. So this is gonna be machine learning for us, right? Machine learning. Cool. So we're storing all of these into these arrays, right? That have indexes 0 through 3. I think it's gonna be like 0 through 5, but for example's sake, we're just gonna do 0 through 3 right now. And then this is our player 2D array. So there are 4 rows that are going to represent each player and 2 columns for our array. Oops. So this column 0 is going to hold the token, and then this column 1 is going to hold the random object that it's saying, right? It's talking about a token must be chosen and stored, and then 1 item from each group is chosen randomly and placed into the solution array. 1 item from each group. Okay, then the rest of the items and tokens will be randomly distributed to each player. So these are going to be our clues. So it looks like this is going to be our token, and this is our clue as to what the solution is going to be. Because there's going to be a solution array, which I'll show you guys in a second. But the token, pretty much what's going to be stored in this one. So if this is player, this is going to be index 0, 1, 2, 3, right? But for our purpose, let's just pretend like this is player 1. This player 2, player 3, player 4. But remember that the index does start counting as 0, 1, 2, 3. This is just the player number. So the player number is 1 plus the index. Or the index plus 1. So if our token for player 1 chooses J, or actually let's say player 1 chooses the token A, then we're gonna store the value 1 in this token, because if we decide to pass token, let's say we want to see out what token the player is, we would want to do access the tokens array, right? Because that's gonna have the names of the teachers, and then we're gonna want to pass where that token is. So 0, 0. So what this is gonna do, what this says right here, is that we're gonna go to the player array, which is this one, the SUD array. We're gonna go to row 0, which is this row, and look at column 0, which is this column, and on that is the number 1. So then what that's gonna say, it's gonna look like this to the computer after it processes that. Tokens 1. And after it sees tokens 1, it's gonna go into this array, go to the first index, and print Andrew Vasco. So that's kind of how we're keeping track of what tokens and topics and rooms we're using. And the same thing for the clue. We're gonna eventually use a random number generator to distribute the clues on the topics and rooms. So if I were to put if I were to put the number 3 here, this 3 is referring to Martin or Martine. I'm actually not sure what name it was, but that's what we're going to be referring to. And then this is going to be 0, so this would be Jorgensen. And then this would be 2, which is going to be Rafalski, maybe? Yeah, I think so. And the same thing for this one. If we have numbers 2, and we want to refer to the topics, it'd be the databases. And then if we had 3 and we wanted to refer to the rooms, it would be CS135. So that's kind of how we're going to be approaching this problem. So let's go back into the code real quick. And for this video, I'm just kind of be setting up the basic stuff and kind of have you guys, and in the next office hours, I'll kind of go over more in depth of how getting the random variables work. So we're gonna want to create this is all gonna be in a while loop, so let's actually let's see, what can we do. While oh wait, I need a character because this is gonna be our menu pretty much. Menu. So while menu selection is not equal to Q, or I said selection, but selection. Okay, selection is not equal to Q or Q. Selection. Okay. So we have the while loop going. Cool. And then we're probably going to want to display the game menu in here. And then based on that game setup menu option, we'll call two functions. load game data, then game setup. Okay, so when we display the menu, display menu start. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, I'm like kind of trying to I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna like piece this together real quick, because it's a little complicated. But here we can just actually display the game menu. Display game menu, and then we're gonna probably want to see in menu selection, and then we're going to want to say if it is G, if menu selection is equal to G, or menu selection is equal to lowercase g, then we're gonna want to do the game stuff. Else if else if it'll be a Q, right? Q, and then we're probably gonna want to print like quitting stuff. Print quit. And then else they probably did like some invalid menu selection, so we're gonna do error invalid menu selection. So we can actually test out this menu real quick. Error. And then if this happens, we actually want to prompt the user again, right? So we're gonna do cin.clear, cin.ignore. And I'm not sure if you guys know what cin.clear and cin.ignore do exactly, but what this does is that's gonna clear the stream wherever it put like the console input, and then it's gonna ignore 100 characters on the stream. So if I type this and then press enter, it'll ignore up to the new line. And then we want to do and then it'll go back into our while loop and prompt again. So with that should be the menu. So let's actually see out. We quit. Actually no. Thanks for playing, because we're nice guys, right? Thanks for playing. End line, cool. And then we want to do the menu selection. So what that looks like is, what does that look like? See out. Okay, you guys have to like go back and count how many of these like stars there are. I'd probably use like set width and set fill to do that. But right now, for time's sake, I'm just gonna do this. Game. quit. And then I'm gonna copy, actually let's copy this, put it right here. And then now we're probably gonna wanna test the code just cause you don't wanna code too much and then not be able to figure out where your errors might be. So let's do that. Please choose game menu. So far so good. So if I do quit, thanks for playing. Awesome. Oh wait. So this should be equals equals or equals equals. So let's close this. And oh, what's going on? What is going on? So g++ main dot slash a dot out. Whoa. It's and actually. Awesome. So it's while menu selection is not equal to lowercase q and menu selection is not equal to uppercase q, then we already tested the quit functionality, which works good. But let's test it out one more time. Thanks for playing. Cool. So now let's do like some random characters. Error, invalid menu selection. Please try again. And then game setup. And we haven't done anything with game setup, so it's not going to do anything yet. But we know it works, so we are good to go in here. So now that we have the game set up, we're probably going to want to load the game data. So load game data and then game set up. So what the load game data is going to do is we are going to go look and see what it does because I'm not completely sure. So top level function that loads all game data from a file. So we're pretty much going to parse the file. And it says similar how it was done in assignment 9. So what that means is how you guys did the fishes, right? So let's actually get to that Visual Studio Code. And then we're gonna call load game data, right? Game data. And then we're gonna want to pass in the I file. And then we want to pass the parameters for game data are stream, string. So that's probably gonna be the tokens, the room, and the topics, right? So now we need to make variables for these, which are going to be up here. So we're going to do string tokens, and I believe there are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 that we're going to be reading in. So tokens is just going to be a length of 5. String rooms, same thing. And then string menu selection. Oh no, not menu selection. Topics is the same thing. This 5 you could probably make into a constant, a global constant, and just say like, I don't know, number of items, and then put it here so it'd be num of items. If you make a global constant for that, but I'm just gonna do 5 for now. And then after we call load game data, we're going to parse our game data, right? So let's see where that is. Load game data right here. So for this one, if we look at our file, this looks like our fish file, right? Comma delimited. There is a header line telling us what is there, what the data is, and there's the professor, the topic, and then the name of the room. So we're probably gonna have to use a header line to get rid of that first. Yeah, we're probably gonna use a get line to get rid of the first line, and then we're gonna probably have like another string to store our information, right? Oh no, we don't want to do that. Because we can just store it directly into our array. So what we can do now is open the file. So our iFile is gonna be the game setup, game setup.txt, and then if the file is open, then we're gonna want to parse the information, right? So then we can just do a get line to get rid of that first line. So iFile, comma, header. So this gets rid of the header line. And then the rest of the file is what we need to parse. And we know that there are... We know that there's 5 tokens, right? So int I is equal to 0. I is less than 5. I is less than 5. I plus plus. Cool. And then we're going to want to take each token. So I'm probably going to use a get line just to get up to the comma for everything. So iFile, comma. The first one is the tokens. I, comma, comma. Okay. So this get line, what it's doing is going to use the iFile stream. So it's going to be in this what is this? This game setup text file, and then it's gonna store it into the string right here, right? Because tokens I is accessing a specific index of a string array called tokens, which is gonna be the 0 index, and then it's gonna go up to the comma, so up to right here. So, and then we're gonna want to do that again for I believe the next one is the topic. So this would be topics. And then for the last one, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're actually gonna go up to the, we can actually just read it in at like normal, or we can go up to the new line. So we can go do this. We can either do this, rooms, or \n. And the reason we're doing it like this is because these have commas, right? So what the get line is going to do is it's going to get this. It's going to get the new line that's right here, because technically there's a character /n right here. It's going to get that, get this professor up until this comma. And we don't want that because it's going to be like CS172 Francesca, right? So we're actually going to want to also test this and see that we got all our information. And then here we're going to want to do an else because error file. Oh. File did not open. And then we're gonna want to close that, right? So here, let's test it. So I'm probably gonna stop the video after this, and then I'll make the part 2 and post it, because I think this video is like 30 minutes long right now of me just going over the beginning. But then we'll get into like the meaty stuff after this. So, and by the next video, I'm gonna have like all the display stuff already set up. Yeah, I'm gonna have all like these display tokens, because these are just gonna be outing the same thing as display menu. So I'll have all this stuff set up so we don't have to see me just see out, and I can actually show you guys the actual logic behind how the game's gonna work for us. So let's see out the tokens I, see out rooms I. Tokens. Cool. And then it's gonna do in I. Cool, 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 cool. So let's do this. G++ main, a dot out. Ooh, let me open this game. And then we can see here that we're storing all this data into 3 different arrays, right? To 3 different arrays right here, tokens, rooms, topics. And you can see what index they're located on. So that's like a visualization of this right here. And this is going to be really helpful for when we're doing the clues and the solutions. So thank you guys for watching the first video. I'll put part 2 up as soon as I can, and we'll go more in depth on how we're going to be loading like clues. We're going to go over pretty much the game logic the next video. This is kind of just a setup. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace.